Chapter 42. The sky turned red. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Psalm 91:4, verse 5. It began with a smell, faint, acrid, the kind that prickled the nose before the mind had time to catch up. Ruthie stirred, her body tensing instinctively beneath the sheets. The air in the room felt strange, dry, unmoving, thick with silence, a stillness that didn't belong. She sat up slowly. Her breath caught in her throat as the dim orange hue of dawn filtered through the curtains, too sharp, too early, like the sky had forgotten how to rise gently. She turned toward the doorway, heart quickening. James's silhouette stood outlined in the glow of the kitchen light, phone pressed to his ear, shoulders taut, listening. Alert. The way people stand when something isn't right. Ruthie had never lived in the country. Her life had always been framed by the soft hum of traffic, streetlights bleeding into midnight, and suburban fences drawn like borders around a world she understood. But this place, this vast, unpredictable land, was still foreign, still unfamiliar. James turned. Their eyes met. His face was drawn, jaw clenched.
Yeah,
He said into the phone, his voice low.
the fire's 100 kilometers out, moving fast. If the wind shifts, we're in the path. We'll start prep now.
He hung up and exhaled. The calm in his voice didn't match the storm in his eyes. Ruthie's stomach flipped. By the time she pulled on her boots and stepped outside, the world had changed. It wasn't on fire, yet, but it felt off. The sky was veiled in a yellow-gray haze. A silent warning stretched across the horizon. The light was wrong. The air scratched her throat, and the birds, normally loud, playful, were gone. She stood there, blinking at the sky, her chest tightening with the weight of what if, of what now. Her hands shook, then arms wrapped around her from behind.
Morning, beautiful.
James whispered, pressing a kiss to her hair like it was any other Thursday. But his body betrayed him, tense, urgent. She felt it. He tried to smile.
It's just a fire. We get them all the time.
He said, aiming for casual but missing.
We overprepare most of the time. Nothing ever comes of it.
Ruthie looked up at him. Really looked.
But what about the times it does?
James paused. His eyes didn't flinch.
I won't let anything happen to you.
He said. The wind had shifted again, sharp, dry, and unnerving. It whipped through the gum trees, rattling their leaves like brittle bones. The once familiar canopy, which had so often felt like a protective cover over their land, now loomed dark and restless. The trees were no longer companions. They stood like strangers, brittle and on edge, whispering of danger. James glanced at Ruthie, noting the tightness in her jaw, the way her fingers gripped the hem of her shirt. He reached for her hand, grounding her with a gentle squeeze.
It's going to be okay.
He said softly, trying to steady the worry rising behind her eyes.
I've written down a list, just so we don't miss anything.
He pulled a folded, slightly crumpled piece of paper from his pocket and handed it to her. Black ink, hurried and slanted, listed their fire prep in bullet points. She scanned it, troughs filled, gutters cleared, hoses uncoiled, each line a fragile attempt to stay ahead of the flames.
We'll split up.
James said, his voice steady now, tempered by action.
You take the back fence and soak the wood pile. I'll clear the brush near the eastern shed.
Ruthie nodded, tucking the list into her pocket. The urgency between them didn't need to be spoken anymore. It pulsed in the air, in the way they moved, in the way the land held its breath. She nodded again. She didn't want to. She wanted to beg him not to leave her line of sight, but instead she swallowed hard and nodded. They moved. Ruthie hauled buckets to the garden beds, her breath coming fast, her limbs tight with adrenaline. She soaked the soil until it turned dark and heavy, trying to smother panic with water. She unfurled the garden hoses, hands trembling, unwinding them like veins across the earth. Across the paddock, James worked like a man possessed. He had already cleared a stretch of the scrub and was now boarding the south-facing windows with sheets of tin. Sweat streaked down his temple, soot smudging his arms. His muscles moved with purpose, but Ruthie could see the fear behind every swing of the hammer. The wind changed again, hotter this time. Ruthie turned toward the hills and gasped. The sky had shifted. What had been yellow haze was now a dirty orange smear creeping across the ridgeline. Smoke, low, thick, alive. She didn't need James to tell her what it meant. The fire was no longer a possibility. It was coming. The wind picked up, sharp and sudden, whipping Ruthie's hair across her face. James dropped a tool and stared west. The yellow haze was darker now. A smear of smoke creeping low over the hills like a predator crouched and watching. James stepped away, pulling out his phone with trembling fingers. Ruthie watched as he turned his back to her, his voice hushed and clipped, urgency laced into every syllable.
Not long now? Yes, just her and Bear. No, I'll stay. See you in 5.
Her breath hitched. The words hit her like a fist. She was already walking toward him, heart pounding.
What was that?
He turned slowly, his jaw clenched, eyes shadowed with something heavy.
Naomi's coming.
She frowned.
Okay. Good. When?
He hesitated, eyes darting toward the hills behind her.
Soon, she said she was about 5 minutes out.
Something in his tone, too flat, too even, set her on edge. His calm was a lie, and suddenly she knew. Her voice trembled.
James. Why just me and Bear?
He didn't answer. Her chest cracked open.
No.
She said, voice breaking.
Don't you dare.
Listen, please, Ruthie.
No!
She cried, storming toward him, voice thick with grief and fury.
How could you do this? How dare you? I love you, you fool. You don't get to send me away like I'm a suitcase to be packed and left on the porch. You don't get to stay behind like your life doesn't matter.
James flinched, his face buckled at her words. He opened his mouth, but she didn't let him speak.
You don't get to make that choice for me,
She said, firm.
You don't get to be the hero and leave me behind. That's not love, James. That's fear pretending to be noble.
He looked down, torn.
If something happened to you,
If something happened to you,
She said, her voice shaking.
I wouldn't survive it either. Don't you see that?
The wind picked up again, sharp as a blade, tearing through the dry branches. Ash drifted down like snow, silent, deadly, surreal. It clung to her hair, to his shoulders. The world was tilting, burning, and she could barely stand in it. He reached for her. She didn't stop him. His arms wrapped around her, and she folded into him like she always had, trembling.
I love you.
James whispered hoarsely.
That's why I'm asking you to go.
She pulled back just far enough to look him in the eye. Her tears came hot and fast.
Then act like it.
She cried.
Loving me doesn't mean dying for me, James. It means living with me, holding my hand through gray hair and quiet mornings. It means showing up for our future, not sacrificing yourself for it. I love you, and you don't get to do this.
Just then, the crunch of gravel broke through the storm of their emotions. Naomi's ute pulled into the drive, tires skidding slightly as it stopped. Dust rose in thick waves behind her, mixing with the ash that fell like judgment from the sky. The door flung open. Naomi stepped out and immediately took in the scene. Ruthie sobbing in the dirt, James stiff with conflict, the firelight just beginning to taint the sky behind them. She didn't hesitate. She walked straight to them and grabbed James by the arm, firm and unwavering.
No,
She said sharply.
we all leave, now.
James tried to protest, but Naomi cut him off with a glare that could melt steel.
You have 30 seconds to grab what you need. I'm not letting you martyr yourself, James. Not today.
James looked at Ruthie. Ash clung to her lashes. Her lips trembled, but her eyes, those eyes, held a fierce, aching kind of love he didn't think he'd ever be worthy of. He nodded slowly. Naomi exhaled, grabbed Bear's lead, and started shouting instructions. Ruthie wiped her face and reached for James's hand. He held it like it was the last thing anchoring him to the earth. And maybe it was.
Thank you for listening to this chapter of Healing on the Land. If this story has touched your heart, I'd love for you to come join me for the next chapter. You can find it here on this channel. If you'd like to support more Christian storytelling, you can purchase the full book or make a donation using the link in the description. Your support, no matter the size, helps us to continue writing stories of faith, healing, and hope. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. May God bless you, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.